Hello and welcome to the Success Showcase. I'm your host, Eric Lopkin from the Modern Observer Group. And with me, as always, is Chip Janiszewski from the Happiness and Success GPS. We're wrapping up our July 4th holiday. Chip, how was your holiday and what did you do?
It was a great holiday. I had so much fun that I forgot what I'm doing here today. This is the podcast, right?
It certainly is. Yes, it's rare that, because it fell on on a Thursday, we had so much time off. It's interesting getting back into the swing of things.
It is, especially we've had a beautiful July so far, so we are definitely in summer.
Oh, we certainly are. Although we've been lucky, it hasn't been all that hot, and
Yeah,
things are
more
going.
humidity. It's been nice.
So we are being joined by a special guest this week. We have Chris. Chris is from the Wheeler Clinic, and Chris, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what the Wheeler Clinic does?
Hey, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me today. So I am a foster care recruiter with Wheeler Clinic's foster care program. Wheeler Clinic as a whole is a nonprofit mental health organization, mostly in central Connecticut, but spreading out a little bit around that. As I said, primarily mental health. They do some primary and dental. A lot of work with the community, making sure that we provide the care for just anyone's mental health needs. There's dozens of locations for Wheeler Clinic, but I specifically, as I mentioned, work for the foster care program. We have two foster care programs at Wheeler Clinic. They are in Plainville and Waterbury. And what I do is I go out into the community and I try to find new foster homes. I find the parents that are interested in learning about what it takes to become a foster parent. I do the training for them and the licensing, and then I do the matching to help children find homes in Connecticut.
That's fantastic. How many foster homes do you deal with on a regular basis?
So around right now we have around, I'd estimate, 50 foster homes between our two programs, and we're certainly hoping to get that even higher as the year goes on. On any given day, um, there are hundreds of kids in Connecticut that do need foster homes. The thing about that number is it's always changing. Because anytime you find a child a home, um, there's more. You find homes one day, and then the next day, more children come into care, and you need even more homes. So, um, in total, it's somewhere around 4,800 kids in Connecticut that are currently in care. But on any given day, there's really hundreds that need a home.
And
Yeah,
does
I would imagine that one of your biggest challenges out there is to just the awareness, number one, that your programs exist, and also public awareness that there are this many kids in the state of Connecticut that need the care. So awareness is one thing, and then obviously, if you could tell us how the process works too, and how we can help you out.
Yeah, so you're definitely right. Awareness is big. I don't think a lot of people realize that Wheeler Clinic does foster care. There are a number of programs that work in conjunction with the Department of Children and Families to find homes for kids in Connecticut. Um, so a lot of times as I meet people, I tell them I'm from Wheeler, and they recognize that. They say, "Yeah, I've heard of Wheeler, but I didn't know that you did foster care." The process in itself, it really starts with making contact with us, either through our phone number or our website, wheelerclinic.org/foster. essentially the first step is just having a conversation with us, asking us your questions. What do you want to know about foster care? What is it that you're not sure about? Helping them, helping people understand the qualifications to become a foster parent. I found there's maybe some misconceptions there. Um, and again, my goal as a recruiter is to really educate people on what it is that it means to be a foster parent with us, what our kids go through, when they're in this foster care system, what it's like to help parent a child in need like that, and help help families come back together, because that is one of the primary goals. We always want to make sure that our families in Connecticut, they can stay together, and that's a big part of what we do in foster care. So we have those conversations, and we do a training for them. We talk about the foster care system in this training. We talk about working with kids that they're away from their families and they're scared, and they're wondering what's going on, and maybe they've experienced trauma, and we go through that in the training process, and we do the licensing simultaneously. Um, and then throughout that process, our families are, again, they're still learning um, uh, if this is the right step for them. It's a continual kind of dual evaluation. We evaluate any family naturally, but the family, throughout this entire process, they get to really evaluate themselves.
You mentioned that Wheeler does a lot of work with mental health. Are you providing evaluations and mental health care for these foster children, or are you simply trying to place them?
No, so that is the added benefit of what we do, is that we have the mental health services for the children that we work with. We have case managers, we have clinicians, and they're in the homes every week, and they're available 24/7 to our families to help navigate anything that comes up. So we're doing the work in home. Our families, um, they never wonder who they're supposed to call or who they can call, because we're always available and we're there to help. So we help with the things that come up, naturally, any kind of unexpected situation, but we also we do that long-term care, that building, providing the building blocks, and helping our children and families move towards success.
I mean, what kind of difficulties? I mean, you're taking a child away from their home,
Hmm.
placing them with with strangers, essentially, and
Yeah.
then possibly moving them multiple times. What kind of trauma is this causing to the children, and how do you help them?
Yeah, so foster care is, it's necessary at times, as we all know. The unintended consequence of it is, as you said, removing a child from their family and placing them with strangers. That in itself is a trauma, entering the foster care system. So we are very much aware of, and we go over this a lot in training with our foster parents, to help them prepare for the fact that um, children can struggle to build trusting relationships with people when they're in the situation. I mean, you have an adult in that kind of situation, and it's hard for them too. So
Sure.
that's why we work so closely with our families, is because and then there could be a number of reasons of why the child is coming into care, which could also be something they're struggling with at the time. So that's another reason why we're doing work with the child, to help them manage all the feelings that they have surrounding the coming into foster care, and maybe what's happened to them in their lives, or maybe they've had multiple moves, and they don't feel safe anywhere, and they don't readily make these trusting connections. That's why the training is so important, is it because our parents have to understand that, um, from my perspective, and a lot of people that know foster care, what the foster parents are doing is this amazing thing that, I mean, there's really no words to describe how great it is what they're doing. Um, but the child won't see it that way because there's so much more going on for them, that that's not how it's interpreted by them, and naturally they shouldn't be. So it's helping our families navigate that, of you're doing something amazing, but you know it's not always seen that way, and it's not interpreted that way from the other side, and we have to help the child feel safe and feel like they can build trust and work on the things that maybe they're struggling with. And it's not going to be easy. There are going to be struggles, but we're right there with our families, and they don't have to figure it out on their own. They don't have to wonder, what the next step should be for them, or what they should do, or how they should handle things, because we're going to help them figure that out.
Do you have group activities for foster children and for families that are involved with them? Obviously, you do the training up front, but as far
Mhm.
as the ongoing programs go, how interactive is Wheeler with the parents and the families as far as getting together possibly for group activities and that kind of thing?
So we do offer monthly support groups for our families. We and we certainly encourage our families to build connections with each other so that they can, have that additional support network develop. So we're always offering the support groups monthly, and then we do focus on finding, programming for the kids, whether it be a formal kind of, therapeutic program, or maybe it's pro-social activities where they can, go out in the community, engage with their peer groups, and build self-esteem in various ways. We are also doing that for the kids, signing them up for different things. Um, and then we do ongoing training for our families as well. And every family is required to have a certain, the license for foster care. It lasts every 2 years, and we renew it. And over that 2 years, there's a certain number of hours that they need to get. So we make sure that our families are always learning, about different things, about child raising children with trauma, anything that can be really helpful, how to build attachment with children that, rightfully so, struggle with trust.
Yeah, I would think that training would be invaluable going into different situations like that. Are there certain characteristics that you look for in potential foster parents that you've seen help lead to success?
Yeah, I mean, naturally, I do believe anyone anyone can be a foster parent, but certainly it's those people that really, they like to be kind of they like to be doing something. They if they're not doing anything, they're bored, and that boredom is tiresome for them. It's so wanting to be, very involved. It's people with a lot of patience. I think that goes without saying, but, that type of person that can have something major happen, and it doesn't really phase them all that much. They're able to just kind of take it in stride and move on, and do what they have to do. Um, I've found that a lot of times, retired, parents are really great because maybe they've had that experience raising their own kids, and now that they're retired, they feel like, well, this doesn't really work for me. I still need to be doing something, and they have that extra time to help support a child in need.
Are retirees a group that um, sort of lend themselves to foster care on a regular basis, or is that more rare?
Um, I wouldn't say rare. I mean, I feel that we do have a number um of parents that are retired. Um, People ask me a lot when I'm in the community, what's there's got to be age restrictions, and there is. I mean, you have to be at least 21 years old, but as far as on, the cutoff, there is none. Um, it really comes down to, it's not how old you are, it's how old you feel. And if you feel like, at any age you're still able to be a parent, then we're more than happy to walk you through that.
Now, do you find that families that have their own children are prone to being foster parents too?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a mix of, um there's either people that have their own children, maybe they didn't have children, or maybe they have children but they're all adults now. It's definitely a pretty fair mix of that.
What's the biggest challenge that Wheeler is facing in finding foster parents?
I think the biggest challenge um, comes down to just being able to reach everyone, to find them at the right time, to find them when sometimes through the training process, things come up, and people aren't able to complete because, their career takes them one way, or something happens in the family. It's it's an awful large number of people that we need to reach just to get one family. Um, so so I think that, that's been one of the tough things, is you have a great family and they're in the class, but life happens, and then they're not able to move forward because now they have to focus on something else, um, which wasn't planned, but those things come up. Um, so definitely, being able to reach enough people, that we can move forward, because um, on average, we have to talk to at least 100 people to get one family, because that's part of the training process as well. Is that it's designed for people to evaluate themselves. It's designed for people to take the class, look at it, and we hope they say this is right for them. But sometimes at the end, they say, you know what, maybe this isn't the right time, or this isn't what I thought, and I don't think I can move forward. So being able to get a large enough range of people, and the other thing is it is such a wide mix of people that we want, because we want our families to reflect overall the children in care, the children that need them. So we want every different possible background you could have.
Yeah, I know that we talked about awareness of the need in the first place and getting the word out. And as you had mentioned, a lot of people didn't even realize that Wheeler does foster care, which I didn't until I ran into you folks at networking meetings. And obviously, I would imagine the more that you get out in the public that way and have people talking it up, that's great. And I know that from time to time you also have events out there for the public to make them aware, maybe just a little taste of what to expect if they wanted to do that. Just kind of like an info session without any commitment type thing. Can you talk a little bit about those?
Yeah, so we've actually we've moved to a more individual based information sessions. We have those every now and then, but really what we like to do is, when people are interested in learning more about it, we'll schedule with them individually a time where we can sit down and meet, so they don't have to wait for an open house and be there at a set time or a set location. We meet with people at either one of our offices in Plainville or Waterbury. We meet with them at their homes, somewhere in the community. Myself and the other recruiters were very flexible when it comes to finding a way to engage people and get them moving forward and helping to educate them on what it's like to move forward with foster care.
It sounds like all of this is, well, very stressful, certainly to a certain extent emotionally draining. How does all of this affect you on a day-to-day basis, and how do you handle the stress in your job?
It's like with anything, you have to take care of yourself. If you focus on doing the things that keep you physically healthy, then when things come up that try to get to your emotional well-being, then you can, you're better able to handle it. At least that's what I found. Just focusing on that, because there's always going to be things that come up in your life that are kind of out of your control, and you have to be really prepared for that. Certainly not focusing on the negative is helpful, and being able to focus on what the positives are. For instance, I ran into I've been with Wheeler Clinic's foster care for 5 years now. I was originally a case manager, and I ran into one of my old kids who's now a young adult, and he's doing so amazing for himself. So those, that's something that I'm gonna focus heavily on for a long time. And that's really what you need to do.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it comes down to the why you're doing it in the first place, but to see the success stories that you have out there and the difference that you're making in these kids and the parents' lives has got to be just amazing. And that's got
Yeah,
to drive you through all of this.
absolutely, absolutely. It was definitely one of the best things that's happened. Um, Throughout my career is getting to see that, because in the mental health field, with all of my different jobs I've had at Wheeler, you don't get to really see the long term effects that much. It's while you're working with someone, it's usually when you stop working with them, that's it, and you don't know what's going to happen down the road. So anytime you do get that opportunity, it's incredible.
Yeah, do you
Yeah,
ever have like reunions for the foster care children that have gone through the program? Years later, you mentioned that you've been doing this for 5 years. I'm just
Mm.
wondering if there are like get-togethers afterwards for people to reconnect and that kind of thing.
Unfortunately, there's really no way to do that. Our kids know that they're always welcome to stop by our office and come back and see us, but you know just because we're a mental health program, we're not able to reach out past um, the past working with them. But certainly, they know where they know we're here, and we hope to see them at some point. But something formal like that isn't really possible.
you mentioned earlier that the ultimate goal is to reunite these kids with their families. Um, and I mean, this is something that if someone's separated from their families, generally there's a bad situation.
Hmm.
Whether it's reconnecting them with their families or having them adopted into a new family, how long is the average stay of a child in the foster care system?
It varies so much, because there is such a wide range of why children enter foster care. Um, as you mentioned, it's something has happened, which is why they come into care, and sometimes it's very very significant. Other times it's a matter of the parent the birth families, they need help, they need our support, they need um, they need us to help them get get their get on their feet and get these parenting skills that maybe they didn't have because they didn't learn them or for whatever reason. It really comes down to because no matter a lot of times um, the children, they want to be with their parents, and the parents, they don't want to lose their children. No one wants this to happen, and we have to do what we can to make sure that we can bring them back together. That's our ultimate goal, but sometimes that just, it isn't possible for one reason or another, so we do look at adoption. So I'm not too sure on the average length of stay in foster care, but we certainly want it to be shorter than longer.
Sure. Uh, We're coming up on the end of our time. So, uh, Chris, if somebody out there wants to get a hold of the Wheeler Clinic, they're interested in the foster care program, how can they get more information?
So one of two ways: they can give us a call at 860-793-7277. Speak to one of our recruiters and start that conversation. An even easier way is to go online. We are at wheelerclinic.org/foster. We have a number of different articles on there, maybe some stories from our parents that people can look at. There's just more information for them to explore. And right on that website, again, wheelerclinic.org/foster, there's a link for our application, so they can start that, they can get their information to us, and we can reach back out to them and start talking more about moving forward with the process.
All right. Chip, what do you think is the big takeaway for our listeners this week?
Well, obviously, there's a big need for foster care. It's just been amazing for me to meet Chris and Allison and the other people I met from Wheeler Clinic. And I would encourage people listening to this podcast today to pass along the website again. It's wheelerclinic.org, and have people go there for more information and just help to spread the word, because I think the awareness that they're there in the first place is really, really important. So if you're listening out there, help out the cause and talk to somebody about it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
I think one of our big takeaways is also these are people who are in need, both the kids and the families that they're being separated from. And it's important to remember that while we all have problems in our life, there's always somebody worse off. And if you can do something to help, by all means, you should do so.
Yeah, we're definitely at a kind of at a crisis within the state where we have more children than we have homes, so we need as many as possible. And as you mentioned, anything you can do, encouraging people, supporting people to get more information, and having those conversations with people about foster care is really big.
Right. Chris, thanks so much for coming. We've enjoyed having you as a guest.
No, well, thank you. I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to be here today.
And we look forward to having you back again.
Absolutely.
You've been listening to the Success Showcase. You can catch us every week at xvadio.com/podcasts. You can also find us on the Apple Podcasts app, the iTunes Store, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Play, and wherever you find podcasts. Remember, make this your best week ever and make next week even better. See you then.